Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join our webinar. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Taylor Neal, and I'm the marketing manager here at IPS. And before we dive into today's topic with Brevo, I just want to take care of a few housekeeping items. Just so you are aware, we are recording this webinar, and we'll be sure to get a copy out to everyone in the next day or so, just in case you want to go back and review anything or send it to a colleague. In case you are not familiar with the On24 platform, I just want to draw your attention to a couple of items on your screen. So the related content list on the top right of your screen is where you'll find useful content and links with information on the topics we will discuss today, as well as a couple of QR codes where you can access things with your mobile device. You'll find the Q&A box on the lower left side of your screen. This is where you can submit your questions at any time throughout the presentation. We'll kind of keep an eye on that Q&A box and bring them up at the end of the session. As I mentioned in the invitation from IPS to join us today, we will be giving all of our customer attendees a gift card just as a thank you for your time. So I'll follow up with you all on an individual basis afterwards, just to make sure that we get your gift card sent to the correct location. My last item that I always go through, if you've joined us before, you'll be familiar with this one. It's just a shameless marketing plug. I wouldn't be doing my job without it. So make sure you follow IPS on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram for updates on new technology, industry trends, safety matters, tips and tricks, and then just some fun stuff we do around here at the office. So now that I have all of that out of the way, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today, Mike Noonan, the Regional Sales Director at Brivo, and Pete Bauer, Senior Regional Technical Manager at Brivo. So take it away, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. We're excited to be here. We're extremely excited about this new partnership that we have with IPS and everything moving forward. So with that, we're going to kind of just dive right into it. So as Taylor mentioned, I'm the Regional Sales Director for Brivo, covering the Midwest. And you have one of the sharpest guys at Brivo on the call as well. Not me. You have Pete Bauer, who's our engineer, the Regional Technical Manager position. So, like Taylor mentioned, there's the Q&A box. So if you want to fire any questions in there, we can get to them at the end. But you have both sales and technical, and we kind of both know enough of each other's space to be dangerous as well. So any questions you have at all, please just throw them into the chat, and we'll get to them here at the end, okay? So who is Brevo? What are we doing here? What is this partnership about? Brivo, we are the largest cloud access control provider on the planet. So what we do is, we look at where we've come from and where we're headed. We are cloud access control for commercial spaces, for multifamily properties around the world, from one door to, some of our larger customers, upwards of, 10,000 doors. So that's really what we do on the cloud access control piece. And we've been doing it for 21 years. So there's going to be a lot of information and a lot of stuff that we'll get into today. So Brivo by the numbers, understanding who we are, where we came from, where we're going. There's a lot you guys can be reading on this slide right here, but I kind of want to highlight, one thing that's near and dear to what we do at Brivo is understand the 10 years plus of cyber audits. So we understand as you move everything to the cloud, there's going to be a lot of transition from, dealing with IT, dealing with, the facilities, understanding what's going on with someone's network, understanding how relevant cybersecurity has become today. Understand that we have 10 plus years of cyber audits means that, everybody else, that you might have out there in the world that's coming to cloud saying, hey, we have a year of cyber audits. So understand that we've been doing this for 21 years and we started it before cloud was a thing, meaning that next year when someone has 1 year, we have 11. When someone has 11, we have 21. So when you get to that point, I think that that's what's near and dear to what we do is understanding that there's a lot behind the scenes, right? So without getting too much nerd talk, if anybody on the call wants this, please reach out to someone with IPS, reach out to me. But we do have, an information security white paper that gets into all of our cyber side of things. Also on here, understanding the 23 million users and growing. I mentioned we're the largest access control provider on the planet. That's truly what we are. So you see that 2.5 billion access events per year, the number of users and growing, understanding the worldwide presence that we have throughout 40 plus countries, the number of API developers we have diving into this, making everything talk in the cloud. It's pretty exciting and it's good to see. So kind of everything I just described, but putting it more on a timeline for everybody to kind of visualize. Brivo was started in 1999. So without boring everybody too much with death by PowerPoint, we were started as considered, the original name was the Smart Box. And it was before the market crashed, and it was really for e-commerce. They really said, hey, we really want to control packages that sit on a doorstep somewhere. How can we do that without involving servers, involving all this stuff, but we want to have controlled access. And then once the market crashed, they kind of went back to the drawing board and said, all right, well, what if we take that box that we were going to put, on the doorstep somewhere, and we made that box a little bit bigger, maybe the size of a room, maybe the size of a building. And that's how this whole thing started. So you can see there from that 1999 point through generation 1 to into generation 3 of our platform, looking at what Brivo On Air brought. So a lot of integrated access control and video. We were then acquired, if you guys are familiar with cybersecurity, the name Dean Draco acquired us in 2015. So he started Barracuda Networks, sold Barracuda Networks for $500 million, and then invested in physical security. So that to you guys, what's that mean to everybody on this call? We have an engineer at the helm that is always, leading in technology and cybersecurity and making sure we're on the latest and greatest, hence why where we are today. You can understand, too, that the mobile credential piece back in, 2016, where we started using our phone to get through doors, which is now becoming something that our competitors are, hey, we can use our phone. Yeah, well, we've been doing it for 6 years now. So we've learned from information and time. And I think the biggest thing, too, is understanding what we did throughout the 2018 and even into the pandemic, acquiring Parakeet Technologies, turning Parakeet Technologies into Brivo Smart Home. So that's brought not just traditional base building access control, but now the Z-Wave, the Zigbee, the smart home side of things for full home automation, bringing it into one platform. Right, so I know that's a lot of information. There's a lot of things on there. But you can just kind of see that we're based on machine learning and AI, and you can see every year we're coming out with new things that are really relevant to what, end users from 1 door to 1,000 doors are doing at their sites. So everybody, this is a common question you'll get into, and someone will say, hey, who are your best customers? Where do you protect? What's the ideal scenario? And the truth is the market has changed so much that it used to be just strictly multifamily and municipalities. For the same reason, as you can imagine, we don't deal with servers. Everything talks in the cloud. So when you talk about multifamily, you have 10 buildings. Are you running fiber between them all? Are you talking point to point with net boxes? Or is everything just to the cloud? We got rid of all those servers. That 10 building multifamily site made sense. Same concept with a municipality. You have the fire hall, you have the police station, you have the court building, you have everything all under one roof. That's where it started, but the cloud has driven so much into everybody wanting to use their phones, everybody wanting to be on the latest and greatest, and a lot of those integrations that you can see here that I hate to give the answer of everywhere, but it is the truth. I remember 10 years ago selling into houses of worship, and it was impossible because the cosmetics of the building, you can't touch things. Now, as you'll see, we have cell routers that plug directly into our controllers. We integrate directly with wireless locks, so you're not having to drill through, all the mess up cosmetics of buildings, which has gotten us into houses of worship. Multifamily obviously continues to grow, obviously with that acquisition of Parakeet. Health and wellness through our mobile credentials and our gym integrations that, Pete and I will talk about, where you look at, hey, we have gym software, we have Brivo, how do we make them be one? We do that for you so that you don't actually have to input data at 2 different sites. You have one central database. So you can imagine there's a lot of different spaces in which we play. And as you can see here on this list, there really is absolutely everything. And to prove that forward, these are just some of our customers. So kind of back to what I mentioned with Mr. Draco, we're very big on cybersecurity. That is being said, you can see there on that top right in the smallest, it says plus 35,000 accounts. So these are some of our larger accounts that have given us permission to share their logo on the slide, but by no means is this our top customers. They're some of the top customers, but we have some of the largest global customers on the planet here that said, hey, we'd prefer if you're not on there because we're, maybe a credit card processing company or maybe banking or something of that nature. We don't, and that's not our policy. So that's something I want you guys to be aware of as well. Talk about the worldwide reach. I'm not aware of everybody on the call. I know that we have people from all over the Ohio area. We have some national accounts, some commercial, higher education, K through 12. But I do want you guys to understand that the worldwide reach means a lot from managing any sort of site that's growing. We have no idea what tomorrow brings us. We have no idea, who acquires who. Hey, we have to install a site in Southern California. What do we do? Hey, we need a site installed in Dublin, Ireland. What do we do? Brivo has a worldwide reach. We sell straight through the channel, so we are a partner. We are a direct part of the IPS team now. So we work with them to get this done. So if something does come up, we'll work with them. We'll reach out to the Brivo channel, and we'll make sure that we get you guys the best service possible anywhere on the globe. So I'm going to circle back to the cybersecurity a little bit, and then I promise only a couple more slides, and then I'll turn it over to Pete so you guys can see the actual demo portion of it and see the actual platform that you'd be getting into. Understanding cybersecurity, the people, the process, the technology. I mentioned the white paper that I can get everybody that kind of dives into what I consider the nerd talk, but I love it. It talks about our botnet protection built into the controllers, which is unique in the industry. It talks about how our control panels communicate in the cloud. So unlike other on-site devices, we never actually log into the panels. The panels actually call out, and that's where everything is, all the information is updated. So that's something to really think about here. But again, it's back to the people, the process, the technology, everything that we go through to be the cybersecurity company that we are. So you can think about SOC 2 audit, PCI compliance, HIPAA compliance, anything that you need, we have it. So the bar has been set very high by what we do on here, and that's why I spend a little bit of extra time, just so you guys know that when you're going to deploy this, we do have everything you can possibly imagine from that side. We even have our own cybersecurity team that you can deal with as well as things get deployed. The integrations are key, and we'll talk about those a little bit more, and Pete will be able to actually show you some of the live integrations for video, for identity management, stuff like that. But understanding that everything that has been moved to the cloud, so not only do you have visitor management, video surveillance, different types of, we consider identity management, so we spend a lot of time with Okta, G Suite, Microsoft Azure, again, that authoritative database, that database management, so that we're making HR's life, we're making everybody's life a little bit easier to streamline that process of adding people into the system and taking people out, but still keeping everything safe. So there's a lot of the integrations, and without diving too much into it, if anything comes up where you said, hey, I'd really like my system to be able to do this, I bet you we can do it. It's just a matter of if we're already doing it or if we need to throw something into development. Unique in the industry, we've worked with IPS for a little while now, but I tell you what, we've seen them in the market for a very long time and heard nothing but extraordinary things about the service, about what you can do, not just from a technical side, but from a customer care side. And that's where we thought this was a really ideal partnership for us, because we really do care about the customer. So unique in the industry, IPS is going to be your first line of call them. There's a lot of questions that, will need answered because there's turnover. 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 18 months down the line, you're ultimately going to need someone else. Hey, someone new comes on. I need to know how to add a card. I need to know how to change a schedule. But that being said, we are, again, an extension of their team. So we do have a technical support team and a customer care line that will talk directly to the end user. So to all the people on the call, the prospects, the end users, people that are currently looking at moving over to Brivo, how many times have we started where you want to make a change in your access controller video and you start with an email chain, someone emails, Paul or Samantha, and then you have someone else on there. And before you know it, we have 11 people on an email that really could have been maybe a level 1 question. Well, we've kind of solved that, again, with that remote triage side of things being in the cloud. You can call us directly too if you need to any time of the day. And we're going to be able to help you out with that kind of stuff. We're not going to say, hey, you're not the dealer of record and hang up on you. We're just going to be able to remote triage and answer that question for you. So we've talked about integrations, but just to give you an idea of the Brivo platform, we're built in Amazon Web Services. So you're going to be able to, you might say, hey, three years down the line, I know if I get to X amount of devices or readers or cameras, I have to change all my licensing around, and what the heck do I do? Being built in AWS used to be our trick question of how many doors can you have on a system? How many users can you have in a system? How many administrators can you have on the system? The answer is unlimited. There is no limit to what you can do. And that's what we've done through in this platform, some video intercoms to smart apartments to understanding what we can do with adding visitor management kiosks through one of our visitor management partners. And again, just that users groups, bringing in parking gates and tying in, I don't, being in the industry that we're in, I don't like to bring up things that, and yesterday was very unfortunate. I'm sorry if I have a loss of words, because it's just, we work with so many schools, and to see that kind of thing happen, it hurts. It really does hurt us when we think about it. But we're working with schools every day to bring in those wireless locks, to have those teachers the ability to lock down their own doors, to zone off the perimeter lockdowns, to prevent that kind of stuff from happening. And that expansion is that we know that budget doesn't exist all up front. So there's that ability to say, hey, let's do phase one now. Let's do the teachers' doors, next year. And that ability to scale and the ability to add on, whether it's K through 12, whether it's higher education, whether it's just a commercial building, the scalability is endless. Last thing I'll leave you with, Brivo Access is our 4th generation platform. So you're going to see the mobile apps. You're going to see Pete's going to show you all this cool stuff. These are our readers. So you see them in white and black, and single gang, mullion, and single gang with keypad. The ability to, with our platform, we are hardware agnostic. So we actually have the ability to work with any of the existing infrastructure you have today. So understand that there's a lot of existing wiring and existing readers out there. We don't have to rip and replace all that. We can reuse a lot of the infrastructure that you have today. And on that same note, I know that I mentioned our sister cloud video company, Eagle Eye. We work with them very closely, and you can see that Pete's going to show you too what that video integration looks like. I think that's one of the biggest features and add-ons of our integration pieces. How many times someone will say, okay, Taylor badged in at 12:30 through which door? Okay, we can check the door. All right, now let's go look at our camera system over here and let's cross-reference it. And all right, we got to find which camera was watching that door at 12:30, and now let's cross-reference it. We're going to show you something pretty cool to be able to just single click of a button and watch that video clip of people walking through doors and capturing that screenshot as well. If you guys were listening to Taylor and have followed her and the IPS team on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook and everything, you see they've done a fantastic job at marketing, this new partnership. And a lot of it, some of the best part of it is the hardware side. So that's one thing I did want to cover. We have manufacturing overseas, like a lot of people do, but we also have US-based manufacturing. And what that has meant for us is possibly one of the busiest year and a half of our lives here at Brivo, because we have all of our products from a hardware side of our controllers in stock and ready to ship. So, I had someone on Thursday that needed 38 doors, and they needed it shipped out for install this week. And that the equipment is shipped, it is in, and they're ready to install it. So it's pretty cool to be in this day and age where we're seeing some real struggles from some of the competitors, from the Linnell, the Software House, the S2, people that are Mercury based. Since we manufacture our own for multiple reasons, mostly cybersecurity, but now it's helped us in that control of being able to get people parts and get people things they need. Alrighty, with that, I am going to push this now. You guys got 20 minutes of Death by PowerPoint via Mike Noonan, and now I'm going to push this over to Pete Bauer for the 4th generation platform, the demonstration of everything that our platform can do, and then we'll circle back around to some Q&A at the end, okay?
Great job, Mike. Thanks for the handoff, and thank you, everybody, for joining us here today and kind of learning a little bit more about Brivo and what we can do for your access needs, as well as what we do a little differently, right? If for those of you who are actually familiar with access. So without further ado, let me just throw my screen up here, and Michael, if you could just let me know when you can see it.
I can see it.
Fantastic. So like Michael was saying, what we're staring at here is our 4th generation user interface. There are no servers, right? We're cloud access control, right? There's no heavy IT lift or, network vulnerabilities, right? We're communicating outbound only, no incoming ports necessary. And I'm going to log in with any browser, right, to access.brevo.com. As an administrator of this system, I have the ability to log in with my email address and password. You'll notice when I log in, I'm an administrator on multiple different accounts. So I have to choose the actual account that I want to go and jump into. So I'm going to jump into our main sales demo here for us. So when I log in, what you'll notice is we get launched to the first and most predominant piece, right? This is the event tracker page, right? This is where any and all events throughout our entire account are going to populate. Valid access events, invalid access events, different device triggers, that sort of stuff. Understand our general topology is account and then multiple sites underneath it. That allows us rather to expand on an infinite level. That allows us to take an approach of a particular enterprise client and expand them regionally throughout the entire country or throughout multiple continents, right? So what you're seeing here is a lot of valid access. I think some people are just coming into our Bethesda headquarters here today. We've got, a couple of different components up top. One is verify user. As people swipe at a reader, you'll see their actual user profile image populate, right? Just as a general reference point for maybe the application where you have a person sitting at a front desk, right, that's watching these people come in and they watch someone swipe at the door and the image really doesn't match the person, right? Right away we can tell that's not the right card holder. We can filter this through to, different sites, right? Right now I've got it filtered to Amsterdam, Bethesda, and Fort Lauderdale. But again, as an enterprise, I've got multiple sites on this one account, and we could view them all or just a few. On the Eagle Eye Network side of things, our marriage to the live video, what you'll also notice in the event tracker is I have this valid access by Jonathan Poland right at the Kiva entrance. You'll see that there's a little camera over here. If I click on that camera, what happens is we load a side panel page, okay? And when that side panel page loads, what ends up happening is it loads a video clip and it would reference the user image if the user image were in the profile. So the idea here is giving you an actual clip of the video event, right? Of the actual access event. Someone swipes at a door, well, here they are coming through, right? So now we archive that information and we can take a look at this later on and verify that that was indeed Jason at the time, right? From there, also what you notice, we have these little exclamation points. Currently, our sales demo is in learning mode, but this is an example of where we're using AI, right? So these are actual instances of very unusual, right? So this would indicate through machine learning that it's not a typical thing that John Poland would come through the Kiva entrance, and it's going to push that forward for us, okay? Again, just some of the things that are going to, jump out at you from the main events page. From there, we'll just kind of go through, you can see our again, account architecture here with global view. So this particular account has multiple sites throughout multiple continents. What we can do is either click down, drill into the map a little further, zoom down in. You'll notice that some of these are red and some of them are blue. This is giving us a general health status of our overall account here, right? The ones that are in red have some sort of critical error happening, right? So we're currently categorizing critical errors of failed access event, failed access user deactivated as a critical event. So they're populating, and that's going to tell us, hey, you need to look here. So we're seeing a lot of that here at the Atlanta office. If I click on panels, I can see the information, understand that the control panel is online and that it's on the latest firmware. A lot of cool trends that we see up top is actually critical events. So across the entire account, right now at this point in the day, we have 212 critical events throughout the entire enterprise, right? That actually gives us some information that this same point in time 1 week ago, we're down 4.5% on critical events. If I open this box, it's going to show me the details surrounding what is populating that total number, right? Again, general access events, sort of the same thing, the events that have happened across the entire account. And then we have this nice offline devices here. So this is going to give us a heads-up display of any and all panels that may have dropped off the network. Of course, all of these panels can be configured to send out notification on power or network loss. Okay. So we also have something that I'm only going to scratch the surface on, really, for this particular demonstration. But we have what's called Data Explorer. It's an enterprise feature. It takes the aggregate information from behind the scenes, valid card reads, invalid card reads, and populates a bunch of different graphical interfaces, right? We can create a few different views and really drill down deep into all the information that's being compiled on any access control system. It's just that Brevo is bringing it to the forefront so that you all can use it as a tool, okay? We also have the device status page, right? So this device status page is going to segregate all those different sites in the account and categorize all of the devices that are within it, right? So if I'm scrolling down, we can see Amsterdam, Atlanta, Berlin, Bethesda 3rd floor, and we're seeing all of these devices that are actually at the Bethesda 3rd floor office. The really cool thing is this is a live device status page. So for instance, I've got a couple controllers here, the Bethesda controller 6, Bethesda controller 2. This timestamp is giving me the last time it checked in with the cloud. Our panels are checking in every 5 minutes. If this had not checked in, this little orb in the top corner would show as red, right? And then so would the timestamp if it hadn't checked in within those 5 minutes. When I click into the card, it gives me some of that same information, last time it checked in, the panel type, the firmware it's running. We also see a bunch of doors and cameras through here. Within the device status page, what I'm able to do when I go into a door is I can click on it and I can either add a schedule to this. Maybe this is a 24/7 locked door, but I'm going to change that up and I want my employees to come in without using a card, 9 to 5. Great. Add schedule, choose the appropriate, schedule, put it in there and hit save. Maybe, perhaps, this is something that I want to only do a momentary schedule change on, right? Maybe just today until 5 o'clock, I want that door to be open. Great. I can do an override. So I can unlock this door either indefinitely or until, 5 o'clock today. Save that. After 5 o'clock, it goes back to its normal operation schedule. The other thing I'm able to do within here is actually just pulse this door open as an administrator. I come in here, I click on the card, I hit unlock, and then yes, and I've now pulsed that door open. A key to the integration that we have between Eagle Eye, right, within this interface is that, I've married a camera to this same door, right? So if I come into, let's see, the Experience Center camera, I can pull up a live stream of this camera. You can see that the blue demo door is associated here. And if someone calls me up and says, hey, Pete, I forgot my card, fantastic. I log in as an admin, either to the user interface or the application. I can jump into this camera, go, oh, hey, Bob, Sally, whatever it is, I see ya. Hold on a second. I can hit pulse unlock and yes, and you'll see that blue light turn on in the background. That's actually the lock unlocking. And I'm pulsing this from my basement here in Buffalo, New York, and that's in Bethesda, Maryland. It's that fast, okay? Of course, this is a lot of information, so we can parse all of that information down to, if I just wanted to see doors at, the Bethesda, Amsterdam, and Colorado sites, then I can, of course, filter that down, okay? When I jump into video, this is, again, where my video integration comes into play. A lot of the times, you're not going to need all cameras integrated to your access control system, right? Probably just the ones that are pertinent to access control, the ones maybe that point at a door. So Eagle Eye allows us to be real flexible with that. If you don't have an Eagle Eye system, you can place a bridge kind of on top of whatever your other VMS is and point a second stream and bring in a marriage of these access control doors. What that allows us to do is from this live video screen, obviously we can go back and look at recorded video within here. And obviously we can see the live video and manipulate some layouts. But the cool thing from my perspective is, again, that marriage of the door. I'm in live video. Maybe I'm a guard stationed here. Somebody buzzes a door. Here they are sitting at that, Experience Center door again. I click on the 3 little icons and I unlock the door. there it goes, right? So again, just a real cool, helpful way and meaningful ability to kind of create that integration. Reporting functionality, we have a robust reporting functionality. When I come through into report configurations, what I can do, is I can come in here and I can choose from a host of pre-canned, report configurations here. So for instance, if I wanted an all user report, it's going to give me the definition of this all user report and then jump in and create that all user report. I can run any and all of these reports right then, right? Create it, run it, get that data in CSV or PDF, as well as schedule them. So if I needed, as an organization, to run an all-user report to figure out, what groups and credentials every user has, well, I can do that and schedule it daily, weekly, or monthly to go out to a subset of recipients. User manipulation, again, being on the cloud, I can manipulate users from anywhere, okay? So when I jump into users here, what you'll see is we have the entire user database for the whole account. These people could be from anywhere within the organization, and on an admin level, I have privilege to see everybody. But of course, that can be parsed down, and we can give admins particular roles that only allow them to see a subset of the database. But what we can see here is I can come in and add someone. I'll just jump into someone's profile in the interest of time. You're entering their name, right? You're going to put in an email address. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just mess around with mine. So if I search out Bauer, you can see my profile comes in, right? So I've got first name, last name. I enter in their email address. In the user profile, when we're building it out, we can upload a photo, obviously from a file. We can also take a photo right here on the computer, right? Most computers have a webcam at this point. Something to note as well is we can use our phone. We have a mobile administrative app. So maybe instead of calling these folks into a particular office, I go meet them out in the building someplace, snap a picture, upload it right into their user profile. We have the ability for custom fields. We can use these custom fields in conjunction with our badging solution, which is just a part of the system. It's not a bolt-on or an extra cost. Groups. So obviously you put a user in a group. That group is a subset of access permissions, right? So I can assign groups here by just hitting groups, and I roll through, search the group I'm looking for, assign the group, and off we go, right? As we continue down the page, you'll notice credentials. My credentials here are going to be a host of different types of credentials, but this is where we can go ahead and add in a particular card, search it out from whatever I've pulled out of the box. Oh, there's none that start with that. Let's go with 8. Great, so we've got a few here. Now I assign this credential, and we move on. Any of the credentials that I put in here, I can set an expiration date on. So maybe a month from now, this particular credential is going to expire on this user, I also have the ability to push out a mobile pass from here. So this mobile pass is that mobile credential. So let's do away maybe with the actual card itself, and let's go ahead and push a mobile pass. Email is going to come through from the user profile. When I click assign, it's going to send this mobile pass to this recipient, okay? They're going to click a couple buttons, and it's going to marry that pass to their phone. Now, instantaneously, they're unlocking doors based on their group permissions with their mobile device, securely through Bluetooth technology there at the reader. Credential-wise, I know it probably comes up, what kind of credentials are supported. When we come in here to add credentials, you can see that we have a host of different formats and capabilities here. So, the peripherals at the door, right? Most of the time that credential needs to match the reader at the door. It's not too much of an issue. We work with a host of third-party readers and credential formats. So administrative functions, I just want to touch on here quick so that we have a little bit of time for questioning in the end. But in terms of administrators, right, it's important to understand that if you're running a very large system or sometimes even a smaller system, it may not be just one hand that's in the pot that is manipulating it, right? So we need the ability to create admins and structure them in a way that's meaningful, right? Structure them in a way that you know, they don't all have the same permissions. Maybe there's a particular administrator that only has control over 2 of 10 sites, right? And maybe I only want them to be able to add cards and view devices, but the rest of this stuff is not within their lane. And I don't want them to be in here and accidentally mess something up. Furthermore, they might be concerned while they're in here to mess something up, right? So what we can do is we can create these administrators and we can give them a subset of permissions. So first and foremost, I can make it on a per site basis. I can give them all access or just selective sites. I can also give them only a subset of group permission. So the groups that they're associated with will actually dictate the admins that they're able to see within the database when they log in, okay? On top of all of that, we apply a role to our administrators. So when we go into roles, what we can do is we can create these different custom roles. And what the custom roles do is they allow us to say, you know what? I don't want the security team to have the global view functionality. Great. I click no access. They no longer have the ability to come in here and click on global view. The tab just doesn't even show up, right? Again, as we kind of step through this device status page, maybe they have full access, or maybe they only have the ability to unlock a door, and everything else is disabled, okay? Live video-wise, maybe they can only view live video and, you know, create a custom layout, and everything else is off the table, right? So as I scroll through, you can see there's going to be a category for every one of these left-hand options, right? So as I continue through here, badging, groups, you can really see how granular we can get in the capabilities for our administrators. So again, from here, we create those admins, we apply that role, and now when they log in from any UI, from anywhere with internet access, they can go ahead and manipulate the system however they need. Another feature that I failed to mention originally was the journal. So we have the event tracker, right? That's valid accesses, invalid accesses, all that kind of stuff, the card data at the door. Well, now that we have a lot of admins with their hands in the pot, we have the journal. So the journal actually has an audit trail for the admins. It has the audit trail of when they logged in and any and all functions that they did, adding a user, suspending a user, creating a schedule. Any and all is in here for reporting and functionality. The other thing that I just want to mention on is our lockdown. So we have a full lockdown capability. We can activate a lockdown scenario from the user interface as well as our mobile administrative interface. As an admin, I can come in here, hit activate lockdown. I can choose from a host of different scenarios, but you know, this one I want to go ahead and wake up all the sales staff because everybody that's an administrator or a Brivo Mobile Pass user that's on this account, which is our entire sales team and then some, is going to get notification when I click initiate. So I click initiate lockdown, and what happens is you'll notice a red bar across the top. Anyone who logs in is going to see that red bar, understanding that the lockdown is in effect. This has removed any and all schedules and user capability from coming through the doors, and it's removed those schedules on, you know, schedule unlock doors. If I click the red bar where it says review, it's going to redirect me back to that device status page, and it's actually going to show me any and all the doors that are affected by my lockdown. I can go ahead in here and I can clear the lockdown. By clearing it, everyone gets another notification indicating it was cleared, and the red bar goes away, and my device status page goes back to normal. I had mentioned that Brivo Mobile Pass, so let me just pull up my app real fast so you guys can kind of see what that looks like. So let's see, I think I've got it hiding around here in the background. There we go. So this is the Brivo Mobile Pass, okay? Pretty much, if you have your doors deployed Bluetooth, right, and you get a mobile pass, what you can do is enable this magic button. What it does is if you had 30 doors of access control and you had group permissions to them, instead of having to scroll through a list and find your door and hit the button, it's going to consolidate all of those doors into this one button. At that point, I can hit the button, and whichever door I'm closest to that I have group permissions to, is going to go ahead and unlock for me. The other way to do that is also through the recently or favorited doors. So now I've got that list. I can come in here to, the loading dock door, and it's going to go ahead and unlock. Another really great feature is on a door-by-door basis, I have the ability to set mobile biometrics. So you can see the LCB hops room door here on the screen has like a little fingerprint to the right-hand side. In the program, if I click the enable mobile biometrics, I can actually require the mobile pass user to authenticate with their phone's authentication method. So mine's set to face. So you'll notice if I turn my phone away from me when I click this button, it's sitting there. Sorry, you can't unlock the door. Try again. Go ahead and give it the go ahead, and we've successfully unlocked the door. So a lot of great functionality between the mobile aspect, the versatility of the user interface. So yeah, I think with that, we've got a couple minutes to spare for any sort of questions. I'll kick it back to Michael. Michael, do you see anything in the queue?
I got a couple questions in the queue. Absolutely. Thank you, Pete. First question that came through: how easy is it for me to switch from an existing system like Linnell S2 to Brevo? Extremely easy. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I know I flew through a lot. Hardware agnostic, and what that means, and when you could see when Pete was talking, is behind him, he had a bunch of panels hanging. For us, it really means that, like I said, we reuse the wiring, we can reuse the readers, and that's really, it's a simple but difficult answer, if that makes sense. So it's simple to say it's really easy. We can just take over the system. You could assume the software that Pete showed you. The difficult side of it is understanding, hey, do we want to get away from 26-bit procs to make our system more secure? Do we want to be able to use that phone to reader Bluetooth connection? And that's where, okay, we change out the readers. So it's really, I would chat with, your IPS team and can loop me and Pete in to help out. So up front can be very easy from the brains of it all. But as far as the readers and some other little stuff, we might have to change out some things. Next question came in. Can you discuss database transfer for Active Directory? That's a great question. So we actually have one thing I didn't mention, our professional services team. So we have a team behind Pete and I that help with new deployments. So what would happen is, we'll use Linnell S2 because that was what was first thrown in the chat. If you said, hey, Mike, Pete, we want to move to Brevo next week. How do we do it? We're using Active Directory. We have 500 users. We have all these credentials, groups, schedules, etc. We have a team that we actually can deploy. So first things first, you pull a CSV file. It takes all that information from your server. They send it to us. My professional services team throws it to the cloud. So when your panels connect and you log in for the first time, all your users are there. So your first name, last name, and credential. That being said, we don't know exactly how that old system was configured. So we do have our professional services team that can come in, and Pete and I can help as well, where we help you set up all those groups, schedules, everything with the doors to make sure it's all working properly. So the biggest thing is getting that information over. Go ahead, Pete.
And Michael, I just wanted to add as well, because the term Active Directory showed up, right? I want to highlight also the integration that we have with Azure AD, Okta, and G Suite, right, as an authoritative database. So a great thing about Brevo and being in the cloud is a lot of larger organizations today are utilizing that identity connector for, like you were mentioning earlier, right, to cut down on data entry from their HR teams and so on, right? So what we're able to do is create an integration with Azure AD, right, Active Directory's cloud counterpart, and we can make it so you enter Pete Bauer into Azure AD. It pushes me into all the different systems a company uses to operate today. But the big part is when someone leaves, right? If I were to quit or get fired, you tick a box in Azure AD, Okta, or G Suite, and it's going to automatically suspend me down in Brevo and remove me from all the rest of those systems. So it's a good tool in the quiver, when we're talking about large deployments that might utilize some sort of HR system.
Absolutely. That answer was a lot better than mine, so good job, Pete. Next question came through. Can we discuss a little bit more about the apartment systems, common areas versus apartment doors? So that is, that can be we could have spent, an hour strictly on that, on the multifamily side of things. And, Pete has some stuff behind him, but really on multifamily, to backtrack you guys, say 5 years, we get into multifamily. We work with the Allegiant line. We work with Assa Abloy. We work with, I'm trying to like Salto. And that was cool because we get into these high-end apartment buildings where there's pretty expensive locks, and you're talking, they're really nice, but someone would come in with your Yale, your Quickset stuff at, a couple $100 a lock, whatever it may be, and they would win the project because they want that smart home automation. So because we've mirrored these platforms together, we still do offer the control lock, so just that offline deadbolt, data on card. We offer all the online locks that I mentioned, so the fancy NDEs, LEs, AD400s, all that cool stuff. And then we also offer the smart home side, so that's just we use our Brivo gateway to communicate, but that's the Yale and Quickset Z-Wave Zigbee side of things. So that's really the apartment side that we consider the apartment and tenant buildings. Versus common area doors. So common area doors are what we've been showing you a lot today, the functionality of what we consider base building. And that's just your traditional mag lock or strike for access control. We do have them all mirrored into one platform now, but you can still log into Brivo Smart Apartment or Brivo Access. So you can do both. And if anybody has a lot of questions on that, we can, go schedule that at a different point in time to really go in depth with you. Next question, can you please review delivery times for hardware again? Absolutely. So I don't ever want to overpromise and underdeliver with what we can do. Our products are completely in stock from all the hardware components as far as we consider them the 6000 series, so the controllers that sit behind Pete. We have 2-door controllers, we have 1-door controllers, and then we have your traditional motherboard, daughter board, built into a chassis controller. So we are in complete control of those. We have those completely in stock. I've been giving them, a couple, 48 hours to process the order and fulfill it, and then ship time pending on where you're at and how much you're ordering. So I'd say a safe bet is 10 days. I've been seeing, to be honest with you, again, I'm seeing a lot of under 10 days, but there is the instance where we sell a small college and there's a lot of stuff being shipped out that it may take a couple extra days. So I would say a safe bet is 10 days. If you need it sooner, we can make it happen. Obviously, to pay priority, we got to ship it a little bit different. That is for the brains of the operation, the controllers. The readers. The readers are manufactured by Wavelengths. When we get them, we have to flash them with our cybersecurity. We encrypt them the way that we need to do things with our firmware and whatnot. So the readers are still coming via Wavelengths. They're 4 to 6 weeks. And again, same concept. I've had some ship out in a couple of days and be there on site. And I've had some that take the full 6 weeks. It's just a matter of the volume that we're getting in and when they're all showing up off the boats, whether it's in the Chesapeake or in Texas. That being said, if you're flexible on the type of readers that you want, you can see, last time I showed you guys the readers, we had white and black in both single gang with keypad and mullion. And that being said, too, we have 2 different types. So we actually have what's called tri-technology readers, which reads the prox, 26-bit prox. It reads that higher level of encryption, the smart cards, and it reads Bluetooth, so the phone-to-reader Bluetooth connection. We try to get away from prox as much as we can. So if it is a new install, if you're ready to go to that higher level of encryption, we have what's called dual-tech readers as well. They look the same. They function the same. They just do not have the 26-bit prox in them, so you can't use that credential, that lower level clonable credentials. So, and those are also available. So again, it's a loaded answer because depending on what color reader you want, how many you want, when you order them, but 4 to 6 weeks is standard for the readers, and for the hardware, 10 business days or less.
I think
all right, that's to be all the questions. And we're right at 10:50, so we're a couple minutes over. So I thank everybody for their time. If there's any more questions, again, you have all of your contacts. With Taylor has been running this. Thank you again, Taylor, for setting this all up, for getting everything out, all the marketing. It's really exciting again to be working with everybody at IPS and all of you, the customers as well. So we thank you guys for your time. And if you guys have any follow-up, please reach out to Taylor, the team at IPS, and Pete and I'd be happy to jump on a one-on-one call with you guys. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you again to Mike and Pete for helping us out today and getting Brevo introduced to everyone. IPS customers, just remember you'll be seeing an email from me either later today or tomorrow with some follow-up information, as well as how to get you guys your gift card for attending today. So if there aren't any more questions, and I'm not seeing anything in the box, that does it for us. So again, thank you for your time, and we'll catch you on the next one.